This obviously needs rehab, but those like the height of ceilings, the height windows, the height of doors. These are for dolls that are about 6 inches out.
Okay.
And these are for dolls about 4 inches. So most doll makers now, or dollhouse makers now, are making for this size dollhouse. Now, I have smaller scale furniture in here because as an apartment, it works. But in really this is a really too big for just a regular rooms. But because I wanted to create a little apartment scenario, it's a good size scale. But when you go to these dollhouse shows, they are creating for a larger scale dollhouse. And so a lot of the little things that I buy, they're really for a larger scale dollhouse. And so when you find a lot of the time, you can only find the right scale through the different miniature groups online, and people are making them in 3D.
So why is the emphasis on the larger scale as opposed to...
You know what? I don't really know. I said, well, this larger scale has always been around. It was a very common scale all through history. But when they started manufacturing the lithograph dollhouses, they were a smaller scale. So it was really these that are special as far as scale goes. When it really comes down to it, these are the ones that are more special because they were produced for a shorter period of time. They're materials that are much harder to keep fresh and that are easy to damage. And because they're smaller and all the parts are plastic and easy to break and lose, and they're really a lot harder to keep intact and to preserve. Even though you don't have to build a window and you don't have to redo the floor or things like that, you might have to paint it or get some, but nowadays, this is what people do, and I think the larger scale allows you to have a lot more detail and a lot of wood furniture. So most of the 112 scale furniture is wood now. In fact, pretty much all of it, unless you're buying something that's made, by Play School or Hasbro or something like that. That would be plastic. But the real artisans now make 112 scale, and it's absolutely beautiful. I do love 112, but my heart is still with these smaller scales. The smaller, the better.
So you were saying that it would be something that you would change, and what you mean by that?
What I meant was that I want to see more metal dollhouses.
Oh.
I want to see people buying and selling these types of houses, these types of collections. So, and getting it out there that they exist. I think some people don't even realize that they exist, or they kind of stick their nose up at them because they're not the 112 almost real looking house. A lot of the hyper realism today, when you're looking at a room in a dollhouse, hyper realism is the big thing to make people think that it's a real room. And I love that. But for me, the charm of a dollhouse is knowing it's not. Yeah. It's that tiny and cute. And it has bright colors, and the dolls don't look real. They have weird hair.
It's fantastical experience.
It's fantastical, yes. And their expressions don't change. And so I like that cute aspect that these 50s, 60s era dollhouses have, that I find the newer and older, but the 112 scale homes kind of lack an automatic charm.
How would you go about making a change?
I think if I could have an end game to everything, I would love to see a real dollhouse miniature museum in Los Angeles.
Oh.
We don't have one. That's when I say real, I mean that isn't just a storefront, a mom and pop. There are wonderful shops and museums, but they are few and far between. But there are a huge amount of people, I think, who have interest in this.
Mm-hmm.
And even just for historical reasons or architecture.
Absolutely.
I think it would be wonderful to share these with everybody. And I grew up in upstate New York, near Rochester, where the Strong Museum of Play, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but I was so fortunate to grow up with this unbelievable resource in my backyard. And they had the woman who started the Strong Museum, she started off by collecting dollhouses and miniatures. And she was very wealthy. Her family was very wealthy. They built a hospital, and they were very philanthropic. And when she passed away, she basically left her fortune to create a museum to carry her doll collection. And then it's since grown, and they added to the collection with other toys and other things, and it became the Museum of Play. Well, every year for my whole entire life, I've been going to the Strong Museum to see this dollhouse collection. And over the pandemic, we couldn't go every year. The Strong Museum was doing some remodeling. They were changing things around. And the last time that I went, almost all the dolls were gone. Oh my gosh. I really just about died. I was like, they must have built a new place for them. They must be somewhere. Like, I couldn't fathom that the legacy that she left was her dollhouses. That was what she collected. And that had been kind of taken out of the museum and replaced with things that are more current, a lot of more interactive things. But to me, that was the heart and soul of the museum. So my dream is actually to collaborate with the Strong Museum and to bring them to the West Coast too, and to maybe have a doll museum with at least a portion of her collection here for other people to enjoy.
So bring it back to the original.
Exactly. Yes, because that is an absolutely amazing collection, and it could really be enjoyed by the whole world. And LA is the perfect place to have it. Everybody comes here for everything. So I feel like this is a great place to continue her legacy of this, people learning about it and the history behind the houses and about her too. So
the museum is still in play.
Oh yeah,
it's still active. Okay.
Yes, they just took out the original. The thing that was the original part of the museum has been kind of. There are a couple houses left. They have like 4 maybe houses representative of her collection, but I was really heartbroken when I went.
And
that was my favorite thing, was to go there and look at the houses.